So I've seen that picture about DC Daniel Cormier, one of the best MMA fighters of all time, and Mike Tyson, probably the best boxer of all time. And it was dubbed that you might not like it, but in a street fight, Mike Tyson would absolutely get his ass handed to him by Daniel Cormier. And obviously that got a lot of discussions about it. And let me weigh in with my opinion about boxing versus MMA. So now imagine some introductory music. Okay, so the point of the discussion that is very difficult to clear because we have no objective measure is that boxer is a master of fist fighting, so he's obviously a lot better in punching and punch defense, okay? And in that what he does, he is better. He's probably got a better footwork even, okay? And the MMA fighter has a much broader education in fighting, much broader training. So he can punch, not as good as the boxer, but he can punch, he can kick, he can use his elbows and knees, and he knows how to wrestle a great deal, okay? So what is better in fighting, to be a generalist or a specialist? It's a great discussion, okay? And in my opinion, being a generalist is always better because the most important thing is to know how to deal with your opponent, okay? So it's fairly easy if you can neutralize your opponent to then win. The most difficult thing is to neutralize the threats of your opponent, okay? And now the boxers will disagree, okay? Obviously, the boxers always disagree with that, but I've found an argument that even the boxers with their very limited education about fighting will understand, okay? Because they will say like yeah, but he's too fast, bam, bam, you cannot come in, you cannot close the distance, he will be like out of the way, he will knock you out when you come in. I've heard it so many times in my life, and it's so fabulous when they tell me they're gonna knock me out when I shoot in, and I'm like, no, you won't. It's like absolutely not. Okay, but let me understand what the difference really means in what tools you're able to use in a fight. Okay, so imagine you're a boxer, okay, and you're boxing somebody, and now you're fairly same skill, same body type, so it's fairly a fair fight, okay? But now you think, okay, that if you can kick, it will not change too much. Probably you think that, okay? Because you will just like, I don't know, take the kicks or try to block them and then just answer with your punches and stuff like that. But now imagine, one of you is only allowed to use one hand, okay? So instead of using two hands, you're only allowed to use one hand. Choose one, okay? Only your right, only your left. And now imagine, how would that impede your fighting capacity? It would be incredible. Just think about, especially if you're an experienced boxer, you probably have an idea of how much better, how much more powerful you would need to be than your opponent to still beat them in a fight using only one hand. You would need to be crazy good, like so much better. Absolutely not the same level of competition. Right? So that is the difference. If somebody is we're talking only about punches and kicks right now, okay? So many times as an MMA trainer, when boxers, they started boxing, you know, and then they come to kickbox class, they are completely overwhelmed because they are so used to having the visual frame of around here, okay, like head to about body, not even all the way down to the legs, like to about here. So they're so used, the hands are always there and the hands are always in your focus. So it's fairly simplistic. It's not easy, it's very difficult, but it's simple to focus on two elements at a time, and they are always in your frame of vision. So it's much more simple. It's a lot faster. Okay, I know, we all know that. But as soon as the legs come into play, they are overwhelmed. They do not know how to answer that, okay? They are not trained on how it feels, okay? And as soon as they they are not boxers anymore. They are now kickboxers, okay? So if you say, yeah, but if Mike Tyson trains, well, does he? He doesn't. He's a boxer, okay? We're talking about as it is, okay? We're not talking about Mike Tyson with an installed laser gun on his head shooting lightnings out his ass. We're talking about prime Mike Tyson as he is or was in actual reality, okay, in 1988. So a man of incredible strength, power, speed, strategy, footwork, defense, who is a pure boxer and probably hasn't thrown a single kick in his life, probably punches the soccer ball around when he plays soccer, if he does that thing, okay? So, and if you start using kicks on them, it messes up their whole game, okay? It messes up their whole game. Like you could, if you're a kickboxer, you could beat the boxer way above your level because they don't know how to handle kicks, and that impedes their fighting capacity so much that it allows you to handle their strikes because their strikes are not as good anymore. Okay, you mess with their footwork, you kick their legs, you make it difficult for them to walk. Their whole footwork is not adapted to getting kicked. Their whole cover is not adapted to getting kicked. They don't know what to do anymore, which in turn will allow you to win. And that is much more on a whole different scale if you also bring into it like elbow strikes, knee strikes. Okay, like imagine, okay, like Mike Tyson loves to bob and weave and many times bobs fairly low. Very, very dangerous if knee strikes are allowed. Very dangerous if clinching is allowed. Very dangerous if elbows are allowed. And he has never trained to handle those kinds of things. Because if he would have trained to handle those kinds of things, he would not anymore be a pure boxer, okay? Because those things are not learned in boxing. They are learned in Muay Thai or an MMA training, okay? And now with clinching and throws, that's so much more, okay? So if you're a boxer and you know how ridiculous it sounds when untrained people tell you like how they could handle a boxer because they know like how to punch and they have an idea of how getting punched feels, right? And it's totally ridiculous because they have no imagination or understanding of the difference in skill and what a trained boxer does to an untrained person. Well, that's you if you talk about how a boxer would be totally able to handle a grappler and somehow stop a grappler from taking them down without ever having trained grappling, okay? Because that's not gonna happen. You cannot grapple on accident, okay? And yet a little clinching in boxing that is very strictly limited that's just not the same. You know, that's far from it. That's as much of a difference as some drunkards trying to punch his drunken idiot friends in comparison to an actually trained boxer, okay? So the difference in skill is gigantic. It's over the top. So yeah, as much as I love Mike Tyson, he would get his ass handed to him by many, many, many pro MMA fighters, even fighters way beyond his weight class and way beyond his absolute king level of competition. Okay, just because they know grappling and he doesn't, they know kicking and he doesn't, and all those things that he doesn't actually have an answer for, even if he is Mike Tyson. It hurts to say that, but he isn't a superhuman. He's as close as it gets, but he's still a human, and skills still matter, and you need to be trained in specific skills to know how to handle them. So let me reinforce that. DC would absolutely destroy Mike Tyson in a street fight. Okay? Let me know your opinion. I'm gladly answering comments, and see you next time.